Hey all, and welcome back for another round of HellfireComms Patreon TV comms. Today we're returning to The Flash to check out Season 3, Episode 17. Don't have a name for this. Apparently it's a musical. Our lovely patron, Mauricio Cuervo, has given us some notes, so to get us up to speed, obviously, because the last episode we did was episode 1 of Season 1, so Volk will be reading a few of those out, just to catch us all up to speed as we go on. But before that, let's just get right on into it, and get into the episode. If you need help syncing our audio to your copy of the media, which we can't provide for copyright reasons, etc., check the video description, there's some instructions there. Otherwise, we're going to count it down and get on into it. In 3, 2, 1. Okay, Koki, old Supergirl, the other CW show.
Yeah, this is a episode called Duet, and is a crossover between Supergirl and Flash, and is pretty much entirely a musical.
Oh no. Well, I have a bit of experience with musical, things of, dramas and so on. This is a really terrible example, but there was an episode of, I think it was Power Rangers Mighty Morphin or Zeo, and I just distinctly remember Jason David Frank singing, "It's Morphin time!"
I think I vaguely remember that as well. So, you may notice that compared to the last time we covered The Flash, which was all the way back in Season 1, Episode 1,
yes,
this is Season 3, Episode 17, so quite a lot has happened over the course of, however many episodes it's been. It must have been at least 50 or 60, possibly. But I'll try and get you all as up to speed as I possibly can in between all the goings-on here as they ramp ourselves up into musical territory.
Yeah, it's just a musical. You can talk about whatever you like, really, mate. So, summarise from Episode 1 all the way to this.
Alright then, well I can give you the very much abridged version of Season 1. There's a lot of, realizing his powers and figuring out everything that's going on around him, and never being fast enough and being caught in a love triangle between himself, Iris, and Eddie. So, basically, you may remember the rather sketchy-looking wheelchair-bound guy in Season 1.
Yes.
That actually turns out to be Eobird Thawne, and anyone who knows the name Thawne will also know him as Reverse Flash,
Hell
or
yeah.
sometimes Professor Zoom, depending on the actual media in question.
Mm-hmm.
And he is a time-traveling speedster who went back in time to try and kill the Flash himself, but actually killed Barry's mother instead. So Thawne had lost his powers and was stuck in their time after failing to kill Barry. And then at that point, he killed and took over the life of Harrison Wells, who I imagine was the actual person who was the wheelchair-bound dude. And then created a technology which would eventually turn Barry into the Flash. So he intentionally set Barry on the path to become the Flash, and I believe that has partly to do with him wanting to siphon off his speed force in order to restore his own powers and be able to return to his own time and continue with whatever the hell it was that he was doing, which is to kill the Flash.
Oh god, my head. Why is he here then, right now?
There's a lot of time fuckery that goes on, especially between Season 2 and what's transpired in Season 3 so far. There's a lot of just mindfuckery going on. There's a lot of alternate worlds. We know there's an Earth 2 and an Earth 3 at this point. And, you know, when you're bringing in 3 Earths at the same time, you know, that's kind of causing all sorts of weird nonsense.
Yeah, to put it lightly.
At the end of Season 1, the Flash, Green Arrow, and Firestorm, I'm not sure if you know who Firestorm is, it depends how much Justice League action you've watched. Essentially, he's a dude with power over the elements and basic chemistry makeup, and has a professor that talks to him, usually a floating head. Yeah,
there was actually 2 Firestorms. The first one, I believe, was an elderly dude, and I think his protege. The second one was, I think, a black guy and his Asian girlfriend who actually got killed in Blackest Night. I don't know if she's back.
Ah, fair enough. But yeah, you know who Firestorm is, so I won't get too much into that one. So it took the combined efforts of Green Arrow, Firestorm, and Flash to take Wells down and bring him in. But Wells offers Barry a way to save his mother. And of course, Barry, being, you know, the plucky newcomer to the whole superheroing business, agrees. And of course, he goes through the wormhole, but then it gets a bit confusing here. Future Barry goes back to the past to tell that Barry not to intervene. So a future version of himself, goes back to the past to stop the present version of himself from going along with this whole thing, thus cancelling that whole thing out. Meanwhile, on the other hand, Eddie finds out at some point that he is one of Thorne's ancestors. And so to stop Thorne from doing all the evil shit, he shoots himself. And then at that point he disappears out of existence. And then that ends the love triangle between Iris, Barry, and Eddie, and that pretty much ends Season 1 as we know it.
Okay, just before we move on to Season 2, we got Wally West here. Race shifted for some reason, not really a big thing, but I actually kind of like the suit. It's the yellow, the classic yellow of Kid Flash, as it were.
It's the yellow with red accents as well. I mean, Zoom is pretty much all yellow with, like, red trim, I think, whereas Kid Flash implements the red a lot more freely. I can't quite remember who the dude with the spooky eyes is, though. I don't think he came up whilst I was making my notes, unfortunately.
Oh no. Has he sent him to the Sing dimension?
He sent him to the bar. It's just like, go get me a drink, scrub.
Richie would love this. Richie actually was requested by Mauricio to be part of this episode for reasons that I forget, but he'd be squeeing all over this right now, boys.
Is he a fan of the musical, or is it just the style of music that he's more of a fan of?
Oh, he's a big fan of musicals, but, you know, Moon River, very prominent in Bayonetta.
Yeah. Oh, the songs in Bayonetta are all just, they were fucking sick.
Ah, yes! I don't know why you went supervillain for like 2 seconds there, Volk.
Well, it was more to amplify how good they were. I do enjoy me a bit of Bayonetta songs. Yeah, this is sounding pretty good so far.
Yeah, it's got a nice voice.
I'm not entirely sure, like, what the whole idea behind the musical tone is, especially considering all the shit that's been going down in Season 3 so far. I think maybe it was part to maybe tie some things in that'll happen towards the end of this episode. Or it may also be part just because of how action-packed and plot-heavy Season 3 had been. Like, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if they just didn't just have a bit of a break.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, sometimes you just need something cut in between to kind of bring back some of the fun and the overall tone when you've just had, like, a few episodes of just all this crazy shit happening and people getting killed left, right, and center and what have you.
Yeah, you can't have constant drama and, like, upping of stakes, because you'll get exhausted. You might think that's awesome, but that's kind of the way a child thinks. Oh, I'll eat ice cream over and over and I'll never get full or sick, but then you do. So you need to calm down a little bit sometimes with not necessarily a filler episode, but something with lower stakes, something more intimate maybe.
It's kind of weird as well that they chose this in order to do their crossover as well. So obviously this is meant to be the crossover with Supergirl going on. It's not every day you get to see a crossover where it just takes the more light-hearted approach. You usually expect a collab between, like, two heroes to take on this overarching villain, as opposed to what's going on here, which is just kind of the whole musical number thing with no idea what's going on. Apparently the dude with the crazy eye just sent them into the song dimension, I guess.
I half expected to see Zatanna written on that thing as the Great Magician, honestly.
It would be a really good tie-in, to be honest with you, but I guess they haven't gotten around to doing, like, Zatanna as her own thing yet.
Was she in, Smallville? I seem to remember a load of superheroes popping up in that.
I don't know if she was in Smallville, but I know the most recent thing she was in was Justice League Dark, and she looks very much different to, how she looks in Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, to name a couple of examples. Like, she doesn't have the whole magic hat attire. It's kind of weird. It's more like she's wearing half of, like, those weird Bunny Girl suits in a weird way. It's a little bit difficult to explain.
Okay.
It's just very different from what you're used to seeing from Zatanna. But anyway, we're getting back to Barry and Supergirl having their talk about what the hell are we doing here.
Oh, is this Supergirl?
I'm not qualified to sing. I believe that is the actress that plays Supergirl, yes.
Okay.
Because you may remember, as they came in through the crazy wormhole, they had the whole thing where they were carrying her in and she was otherwise incapacitated, and then Barry was taken out in most the same way, so they're pretty much trapped.
Yeah, so why is Captain Jack Harkness here?
I do not know. He just seems to appear, and, you know, nobody questions it, because whatever he does, he's usually pretty good at it, and he gets to be cool for a while. Yeah, here's a switchblade.
Jesus. I believe the guy John Barrowman here actually plays as a villain on Arrow. Don't quote me on that, though.
Yeah, and considering they're crossed over, there is a chance it could be the same person, but at the same time, you do tend to have a lot of reused actors and what have you. I'm only here because the dream told me to.
Yeah, the Dream Lord. Told me to come here, told me to put on this accent, say?
Nah. And there is Cisco, who is, you may remember the long-haired dude from Season 1, he does a lot of the governors over there. He does actually have superpowers as well, so I can't remember quite what they were. I think they were like shockwaves or some kind of earthquake powers. I can't remember exactly which one it was.
Was he Quake? I seem to recall us talking about this. I think Quake is the name of the dude from Marvel who's like part of the Brotherhood of Mutants, but similar concepts.
Yeah.
We're gonna piss off so many Flash fans here by getting our facts wrong and whatnot.
Oh no, that's absolutely fine. Hopefully I make up for this by this, like, entire 2-page long summary of everything that's happened so far that I've been slaving away at for the past hour.
Oh, bless you, mate, bless you.
Oh god, now we have the critic. Oh, you didn't quite hit the C flat note, therefore you haven't sung the song to my liking.
Ah, I was supposed to send you to the deaf dimension, not the deaf dimension as in I can't hear myself because you're singing so bad.
Yeah, this is the dude who was using the crazy eyes to put them under, so obviously he's there as well to, I'm not entirely sure what his motives are, to be honest with you.
You realise you could open up a wiki page and just see who he is, right?
I could, but then again, I figure I have to give you some work to do as well.
I don't want to risk opening Chrome, mate. You know what happens.
That's fair enough. Oh, you forgot I don't actually exist.
Oh, silly girl. Silly Supergirl, even.
I like it was just like, we're gonna stop you. Yeah, we're totally gonna do that. Totally not bluffing.
Oh, what a couple of dogs.
Oh, I tell you what this does kind of remind me of. There's an episode of Justice League Unlimited. I'm not sure if you remember it. It's the one that Zatanna was featured in. And there's Cersei, who ends up turning Wonder Woman into a pig. And Batman tries to turn her back into Wonder Woman. And the only way that he managed to get that sorted out was Cersei made a deal with Batman to take something of his that he can never ever get back. And it ends with him singing I Am Blue. Or Am I Blue? I can't remember the exact title of the song.
Well, if you ever shut up, I do remember the episode, actually, mate. You gotta work on your motor, Marv.
That's fair enough, sorry. Well, at least he's enjoying himself.
Well, at least I got some really good singers in for this.
Yeah, I mean, the actors themselves seem to be pretty good. I mean, it's not like before where it seems like very forced. I'm having to wonder if it's like been dubbed over or something. It's possible, but you'd never be able to tell unless you're like looking frame by frame. It's just like, oh, wait a minute. I see a lip sync error.
John's very big into theatre, by the way.
I don't know very much about him personally, just because I'm not as much of a Doctor Who fan as Ol and Tom here is, and that's probably where he's most known, I'd imagine. But I've seen him around, but this is the first time I've actually seen him in a singing perspective, and, well, if he's into it, then I imagine he had a blast doing this episode.
Well, he was in the more recent adaptation of The Producers with, like, Nathan Lane.
Oh, really?
Okay, this is getting a bit ridiculous for me. Can we go back to the recap, please?
Alright, I will save you from this, if you wish. So, in Season 2, there's a major plot point about a speedster in a black suit, simply called Zoom. Not to be confused with Reverse Flash or Professor Zoom, this is apparently an entirely different person. He came from Earth 2, which is the first time we bring the multiple Earths into this whole thing. And he is the enemy of that Earth's Flash, Jay Garrick. Now, I'm not sure if you know which Flash Jay Garrick is.
Is he the Silver Age one?
I think so. He's the one where he sort of wears a shirt and jeans and has, like, that weird hat with the wings on it.
Yeah, like Hermes, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, he's there, and he's apparently the enemy of that so-called Zoom. And a singularity was opened, which brought Jay into Earth 1. And made the so-called Zoom, aware of Barry's existence. The only thing we knew about Zoom towards the beginning of the season that he wanted Barry's speed, but we don't know exactly why until a little later on, and suddenly they're being held at gunpoint.
Hired goons. How? Does he not have his speed in this universe?
I wouldn't imagine so. I mean, otherwise he'll be doing, I wasn't fast enough.
He is now simply the.
That is a tragic downgrade to a superhero name if I ever heard one. But yeah, so this Jay Garrick character turns out isn't actually Jay Garrick at all, but he is a serial killer from Earth 2 called Hunter Zolomon, who is also known as Zoom. Or, not Reverse Flash, he's generally the one that people consider a Zoom mostly. I think Fawn ended up taking up the mantle a little later on, proper. So yeah, he's a serial killer. He wanted to try and go even faster with the use of a serum, but ended up making him terminally ill. So, with his cells dying off and his speed becoming inconsistent, like sometimes he'd just have sudden drops of speed where he wouldn't be able to keep up, he set his sights on Barry in hopes of stealing his speed in order to recover. Because as we all know, speed heals all wounds, apparently. It's a weird thing, that Speed Force.
Yes, it helps your metabolism.
So, Wally West was also introduced in Season 2, and he is now Kid Flash in this case. He actually properly becomes Kid Flash in Season 3, Episode 7, but in Season 2, he was hit by a particle accelerator blast as well, but the effects of it weren't as immediate. It wasn't until that episode where he sort of became aware, but he didn't have full control over it, so it took a little bit of reining in order to bring him back down, and then train him up a bit, and now he is the Kid Flash, or the Wally West in this here TV show.
Mm-hmm.
They have this whole thing about the mentor turning villain thing that they used from Season 1 as well. Obviously, Guy in the Wheelchair was from Season 1. In Season 2, it was Jay Garrick revealing himself to be Hunter Zolomon. And yeah, it's a little bit different because obviously there's two Flashes, so they have the familiarity with each other. There's more, I guess, directly relatable rather than just like, oh yeah, I'm just some old dude who helped create this experiment that gave you your powers in the first place kind of deal. So, let me see here through my notes.
It's okay, we can go back to the show for a little bit, mate. Was this Barry's dad or was it Iris's dad?
I believe it's meant to be Iris's dad, if I recall correctly, but basically he's his foster dad.
Yeah.
Because, you know, both of Barry's parents are deceased.
Yeah, we saw that. I don't know how nobody saw the actual craziness that was happening, but I'll leave some ambiguity in these superhero things, I guess. I gotta say, I was following along with you, but even I was kind of confused a little bit, because comics are meant to be read over like months and months and months, and when you give someone all that information, featuring like crazy concepts and whatnot right away, their brain has to take a while to like process it, you know?
Yeah, and especially when you add the timeline fuckery to it all, it's just... Sometimes you just gotta take what happens and just be aware that, yeah, this character was a thing, he did some stuff, and now everything's kind of normal. The thing is, I think Season 1 and 2 were basically their own arcs sort of like wrapped up very nicely, like nothing overarching or long-term ended up happening as a consequence. But in Season 3, there seems to be a lot of stuff that, yeah, they've stopped this problem, but there are clearly lingering things that are going on that aren't making things quite right. And it makes Season 3 a lot more intense as far as a series is concerned, because it has consequences that are both long-lasting, and it's stuff that you can't exactly change. Whoops. Well, this is awkward.
Don't break into song about it, or I'll fucking leave, I swear to God.
Is that you with my woman? Are you with my man?
Poor Barry, you can't run fast enough to escape these fields.
I'm sure that means something. No, wait, the radiation thing is how the super children get their powers, usually. There's like a whole thing, I remember it in one of the Batman films, where Superman just takes the entirety of a nuclear blast and essentially just becomes like this weird spindly skeleton man.
Oh!
But he uses the power of he uses the energy stored in sunflowers in order to restore all his power.
That was, what was it, Dark Knight Returns?
Yeah, Dark Knight Returns part, I want to say 1, though it might have been 2. For some
I think
reason,
it was 2, yeah.
Yeah, because that was when Superman was actually confronting him about the fact he's still acting in his own interest when he's basically been put on by the government to stop rogues from kind of taking matters into their own hands.
Mm. So yeah, go ahead and open up that, Martian Manhunter.
It is a sick-ass cape. I like how they sort of brought in his look from Young Justice and I guess some of the later Justice League animated films. Although I have to say, I do kind of miss his look from the original Justice League, where he didn't have like an entire suit. I don't know, I think he looks cooler like that, personally.
I like the portal effect, I gotta say.
It doesn't seem like hammed-up TV special effects, that's for sure.
Please open up like a fucking Google Chrome thing and tell me who this villain is. I need to connect with him on an emotional level.
Alright, let's have a look. Flash, Season 3... Episode 17.
I don't think it's the Music Meister somehow, although that would be pretty hype.
Alright, well let me see if I can figure out exactly what is going on here.
Well, they both seem to be speedsters.
Well, that gives us a little bit of a clue at least.
Yep, we can confirm they're going lickety-split fast, y'all.
There's a barrage of information here. It might take me a while to go through it.
It's fine.
Alright, he has the power of flight as well, apparently, so that's a thing.
Why not?
Yeah, it is the Music Meister.
Oh!
Which is apparently a lackluster Darren Criss, as terms of this here article that I'm reading.
Wow.
So it's annoying enough to know in how he taunts. Barry's even knowing everything about him, right down to his secret identity. So, they basically prolonged the beatdown to have the whole musical number going on. So, I get the feeling it's just Music Meister just being the rogues gallery villain and just trying to mess with people, because that's the kind of smarmy bastard that he is.
Wow, these are actually well-shot action scenes. It's come a long way since the last episode we watched.
It's nice to see Kid Flash kicking the shit out of someone.
Hell yeah. I always did like Kid Flash in Teen Titans, the cartoon.
Kid Flash was kind of cool. Although we didn't get to see much of him. He came in very, very late into the show.
Yeah, and in Young Justice as well. I still haven't watched Season 3 yet, or what is out of Season 3 at the time of us recording this.
Season 3 is incredibly solid so far. Although, I'd understand if you want to wait to kind of watch them all back-to-back, but what I've seen so far, very, very promising.
There you go.
If I can resume my brief descriptions of what's going on so far.
Go for it.
In Season 2, obviously Hunter Zolomon was a thing. He was forcing him to give up his speed for Wally's life because he was about to kill him. It's just like saying, alright, I'll kill your damn kid if you don't give me your speed.
Ugh, what a prick.
In the end, Zolomon was undone by his own meddling in time, and apparently the Time Wraiths took him away. That is the actual description of what happened.
That, I swear that's a thing from Doctor Who.
It does sound like it. Or maybe from Indiana Jones or something like that. I have no idea. But it just seems like the Time Wraiths.
Indiana Jones and the Time Wraiths, the lost George Lucas film.
It's believable enough. You probably think it was. I mean, it certainly makes more sense.
It's okay, Volk. You can go on now. You can go on now.
Alright, so, Season 3, which is obviously where we are now at current season, takes place in the reality known as Flashpoint, which is an alternate timeline where Barry's mum survives. Obviously, there is the DC animated film Flashpoint Paradox, which also tells the story of this alternate timeline, albeit a little bit differently. Like, for example, in this Flashpoint, they don't touch up on what happened with the whole Batman side story, where Batman is actually Thomas Wayne, and it was Bruce who was killed in Crime Alley.
Yep.
But that's a whole other bag of marbles entirely. If we ever get covered to do Flashpoint Paradox, I could explain it in a bit more detail. But, basically, the new reality begins to form, and Barry's memories of what he knows to be reality start to fade. So the two are kind of melding each other, and the Flashpoint reality is the one that's becoming permanent. So instead, he goes to Eobard Thawne, which again is Reverse Flash, but apparently he disappeared when Eddie stabbed himself, so I don't know what the fuck is happening there. Maybe it's like an alternate universe Eobard Thawne. So he asks him to go back in time and kill his mother again, believing that everything will return to normal. But that doesn't end up happening. Both his parents end up dead again, but Cisco's brother, Dante, is also dead. He was alive in the original timeline. Joe and Iris are no longer on talking terms, and Barry has a new lad partner, Julian Elbury, who is played by Tom Felron, and I think you know who that is, Draco fucking Malfoy. I knew I wasn't imagining it, I just got the wrong fucking character.
It's Tom Felton, mate, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, Felton. I may have mistyped that one in my notes.
It's Draco Milfoy. Okay.
I'm dyslexic even in my typing. My god, there's just no end to the madness. But yeah, unfortunately the two don't really get along, so TLDR, the new timeline sucks. So Barry, naturally thinking, this timeline sucks, I'm gonna go and fix it. He goes back to correct time again, opting to change it himself rather than sending Eobard Thawne to do his dirty work for him. But this time, Jay Garrick, the real one this time, from Earth 3, pulls him out of the Speed Force to give him a stern talking to, where Barry learns the lesson that the original timeline can never properly be remade. So sometimes you just gotta live with your mistakes, you know?
Yeah, you might have like no arms and one eye, but just make the best of it. Stop whining already, Barry. Go fast already.
Gotta go fast. But yeah, after that, Barry's meddling in time also caused Caitlin to gain ice powers, which will make her like her Earth 2 evil doppelganger, Killer Frost. So essentially, the real Caitlin from Earth 1 is slowly being made into Killer Frost as this all is going on. I believe some stuff happens with her later on, I'm just not sure of the details of it. That's probably further in the Flash's season.
Okay. Does the article you have say anything about John Barrowman's character? Because again, I swear he's supposed to be a villain from Arrow.
I haven't got anything on there about him, no. But currently the big bad in Season 3 is somebody called Savitar, who's like a metallic Speed Force user. So he ends up killing Edward Claris whilst he's imprisoned, so there's another speedster around who's just been offed by this dude. And there's another shadowy figure called Alchemy, who is the one who sent Savitar to kill Edward Claris for failing him. They return the important MacGuffin, which is, in this case, the Philosopher's Stone in the box, and for some reason, there's a link between Savitar and the Philosopher's Stone, which means that if the Philosopher's Stone is contained within this box, Savitar doesn't exist in the physical world. Like, he exists as an entity, but that's literally the extent of it.
God almighty, too much information. I'll give you a little bit of trivia. I believe, Barry/Iris's dad was actually in, the movie adaptation of Rent. That's why he can sing a tune and hold it.
Ah, well, I was wondering. He seems really good. Yeah. I'm feeling it.
Yeah, really feeling it now, Mr. Krabs.
Yeah, at least from what I'm hearing in the musicals, they seem to have done really, really damn good. I'm not sure how I would compare this to Buffy, though, personally.
Oh, was there a musical episode in there?
Yep, there was.
You just gotta leave it there, Volt. Come on, give me the details.
I'm just still thinking of how I feel comparing the two. I think in some ways the Buffy one, I think it turns it up to 11 in terms of like the hamminess of the situation is concerned, whereas with this one they opt to try and tie in some kind of story into it. So I think in that regard I'd probably prefer this one slightly more, although I'd probably argue that Buffy's is infinitely more memorable. But that's pretty much my thoughts on that particular matter as I continue to enjoy the songs that are on offer. And of course he has to join it as well, because... yes, I haven't had enough screen time yet.
It's fine, don't worry about it. Don't be not singing over there in the other scene, you know what you've done. Beautiful. We are now both your dads.
Wow, I can't believe I have 3 dads.
This is even funnier when you're actually not following along with the plot.
It just seems a bit random. It's just like, yeah, we're gonna sing at you, and now I'm your dad.
That's the music meister for you, I suppose. He has no rhyme or rhythm, ironically. Oh shit, gang war time. Yeah, look up John Barrowman in the Flash, please, mate. It's driving me nuts right now.
Alright, John Barrowman.
Barrowman, yeah.
Alrighty then. Let me see here.
Can only go to war if you explicitly say out loud to your lackey that you're going to war, by the way. Otherwise, it doesn't count.
It doesn't seem to be anything on John Barrowman in this sense. It just mentioned John Barrowman was in it. I'm sure there is a reasoning behind it, but it's just like he was kind of just there, from what I can tell from the couple of pages I have open right now. But maybe someone in the comments can shed a bit more light into it. What the hell's this guy doing? Ah, you think you got me, but no, I'm the one that got you, finger guns.
Yeah, I'm about as confused as the guys outside the cage right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty much all he's saying is that once he's put him in there, his hands are tied. It's kind of up to them to pull themselves out by seeing the vision to its natural conclusion.
This is definitely the Music Meister, right? Because he didn't have these powers in Batman Brave and the Bold.
Yes, this is definitely the Music Meister.
Okay. You know, I didn't recognize him without some kind of massive zoot suit. Purple, sequined, all the rage.
Alright, so a little bit more about what's currently going on in Season 3 with Savitar.
Yes, please.
Turns out that alchemy is actually Julian. So, in other words, Draco Malfoy has been assuming the role of alchemy, and he explains that Savitar lured him, using visions of his dead sister, to the burial site of a stone, and then when he located and opened the box, that brought Savitar into the physical world, and then during which time he experienced blackouts, and during those blackouts he was acting out as alchemy, which it turns out is Savitar's lackey, not the other way around.
Huh.
So, at the end, Savitar would try to encourage Cisco in a similar fashion to try and open the box by using his dead brother to lure him. But Caitlin intervenes and ensures the box stays closed, and at that point, Savitar remains intangible. And Team Flash would then find a way to communicate with him, so they kind of get an idea of his motive, and he leaves them with some information that one of them will betray the team, and that one person will suffer a fate worse than death before uttering, "I am the future. Flash." They would throw the Philosopher's Stone into the Speed Force so that Savitar can't use it to return to the physical world, but in doing so, it thrusts Barry forward into the future, where he would witness Savitar stabbing Iris to death.
You're missing Barry tap dancing, right?
Okay, it's not as, I would say, professional as the one we previously heard, but it has a lot more heart in it.
Yeah, it's more sincere, I think.
Yeah, you can tell they're just having fun with it. They're not necessarily concerned about how well they're doing it or whatever. So yeah, pretty much before this whole situation happened is basically they've seen the future where Savitar stabs Iris, and they're basically trying to figure a way to stop that from happening. And then at some point they go to Gorilla Island and have an encounter with Grodd. And that pretty much catches you up. So, in short, time travel's a bitch. Have a musical number.
There you go, there you go. They kind of sort of name drop Superman, but not really back there.
Yep. Well, I mean, it is a Supergirl crossover. You can't have Supergirl without some mentioning of the big blue behind him.
Yep, true, true. Ha!
Supergirl's just mad because she doesn't have a way to put puns into her own name.
Oh, I'm super, thanks for asking.
I'm Supergirl.
Hey, off to war, see?
Alright, who's got the Tommy gun? I am reading from a teleprompter.
Come on.
Hey, there's the Tommy, I think.
Time for superheroes to do as superheroes do and stop gang wars.
With the power of dance.
Oh god, Barry!
You weren't fast enough.
Again! It's okay, this was meant to happen. Jesus Christ!
So is this the conclusion, just everyone's dead?
Yeah, imagine if this was the final episode and Morrissey just covered it up.
Yeah, let's just end it with a musical.
Well, his vitals are going fast at least. Yeah, let's break out the Music Meister. We need to go there.
Should we just leave them as they are? Yeah, they'll be fine for at least another 5 minutes.
Oh jeez, here we go.
I'm going to vibrate to another dimension.
This really hurts. Oh god, why aren't I invulnerable in this dimension?
This musical sucks.
Should have gone to see Cats instead. Oh my god, they actually made it. I think every superhero show is, like, required to have some of these shots in them. Of, like, someone standing over someone else dying.
It is a cliche for sure. No, don't go into the light! I'm so happy I've just been shot.
Ugh. Aww. Run away from the Grim Reaper, Barry, you can do it! Oh, fuck. He wasn't fast enough. He wasn't fast enough, damn it.
There's too many speedsters.
Really? The kiss brought him back? Did the Music Meister just want a kiss all this time?
He wants to add it to a smut bank or something, I don't know.
Jesus, Volk.
Apparently that... a little bit anticlimactic, I think. To be honest with you, but then again, I kind of like the idea that they just sort of made it like a Romeo and Juliet style thing, where it's just like, yeah, they're both dead.
Well, wasn't it more like West Side Story with two rival facts? Yeah, it was Romeo and Juliet, because they were from two, like, warring families and whatnot.
Asking the important questions.
But I hate musical theatre now, so you failed.
So I guess he wasn't exactly a villain, just a gigantic asshole.
Yeah, a bit of a cock end, really, but he has a heart of gold. You realise you're going straight back to jail, right?
Yeah, you're a fine one to talk about multi-universe theory.
Yeah.
Go on, Barry, flash him! Punch him!
It's not fast enough.
No, he's disappearing!
I don't recall Music Meister having teleportation powers, but you know what, I'll just leave it there, it's fine.
Maybe he was never really there.
Nope, I'm actually behind you. Okay. There we go. I believe you now, Volk.
Yeah, it only took you 38 minutes to do that.
I'm sorry, okay? We're talking over it.
Don't even trust the word of one of your best mates. Ah, shot down.
Yeah, it's got to go back to her own show.
I'm sure I did something.
I don't think this is the last we've actually seen of Supergirl. I'm just like scrolling down here and let me see if I can find something. Yeah, we're due to cover Supergirl Season 3, Episode 8, Crisis on Earth X Part 1 next time.
Earth X. God, we have 1, 2, and 3, and now we just have X? Is this going to be like Mega Man, where it's just like X is just an entirely different thing altogether?
I don't know. I love that little comfy balcony they had up there. Very Romeo and Juliet. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Nothing stranger has ever happened.
All these speedsters, you got trapped in by some musical-loving knobend. I'll have to rethink this whole relationship thing.
I'm pretty sure there's an episode where Gorilla Grodd goes back in time to kill the young Barack Obama.
Oh, God.
I'm not sure if that was Flash.
I'm not entirely sure either. It wouldn't surprise me. I'm not sure if Grodd is considered like a Flash villain, but I know... I think Ultra Humanite might be. I know he has a thing with Ultra Humanite at the very least. You're not in the musical dimension anymore, you'd have to sing.
No, it's fine, mate. We're getting meta right now.
I kind of know what's going to be happening.
Aww.
It's very, very heartfelt.
I love musicals.
They're just so goddamn comfy. But yeah, I think this is exactly what the show needed after all the time messing around that's going on. Just something you can just sit down, watch, and not have to worry about any weird paradoxing or whatever you're occurring. Just something nice and easy to follow.
Ooh, kinda got chills. Good, yeah.
Well done, sir.
Yeah. By the way, you owe me for that. I'm not free.
Like, you get this one song, but after that you have to pay me. You can hit the high notes. That's for damn sure.
Oh, is what's happening what I think is happening?
I don't know. Is it? He's smiling. He knows what's going on.
Yeah. She'd be very attentive, I'll give her that. I'd probably be losing interest about now.
I know. With the mixture of the smiling in between the song, he's holding it together rather well. If I started smiling, I'd probably be just like going, "Ah!"
Oh shit, he is?
Yep, it is a song masked as a proposal. Of course, he doesn't have a box for the ring because that's where the Philosopher's Stone is right now. It's the only thing stopping Savitar from coming back.
Nice. Go on, say yes. Ah!
Well, it's been a bit of a rough road to get to this point, but well done, my lad.
He doesn't run away when it counts, and that's commitment for you. Alright, I'm gonna...
Now just stop her from getting stabbed, and you'll be on easy street.
Oh, bless. Alright, I'm gonna close that down. What did you think of The Flash Season 3, Episode 17, mate? I thought that was jolly good fun, honestly.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to describe it. It's just fun. Although, I think I'd probably be missing a lot of the context, perhaps. Say if I was watching The Flash just, like, in general. Like, I catch up with it every week, you know, and then you have all the Flashpoint stuff going on, and I'm just like, God, this is exhausting to look at. I think I'd probably appreciate it more if I was in that situation where I was watching it as it was going on.
Yeah.
But taking it on its own merits... It was just a very fun episode. It was easy to follow. The singing was pretty damn good quality. There was like an actual like story or little plot line to actually follow, which was, yeah, I'm gonna end up finding out that you know, me and Aris are still, like, a thing, and I'm gonna go marry that.
Okay, good stuff. Yeah, I agree with all of Volk's points. I was focusing more on the singing rather than the actual plot, which is why the whole gang war thing kind of went whoo, right over my head. But that's the deal with these TV comms. Sometimes you're not going to get all the context while you're yapping over it. So at least I had a good time with this, and I'm a sucker for schmaltz, so that ending, that was perfect. So thank you very much, Mauricio, for commissioning this. We do actually have a shorter comm for you coming up soon. It's a Rick and Morty episode, I believe, so stay tuned for that. It will be in a separate video. And then next time, we will resume the CW train with that one episode of Supergirl we mentioned. So, yeah, if you guys want your own TV comms, check patreon.com/HellfireComms, check the tiers and whatnot for TV comms, and we can do up to an hour of shows for you. That can be like 3 23-minute episodes, or like one 40-minute episode and like one 15-minute one, and so on and so forth. All the combinations of the rainbow. But that's for you to decide, and for us to sign off. So we'll see you next time for another Hellfire Comms Patreon TV com. Bye-bye.
Be back in a flash.